Getting a traffic ticket for an illegal U-turn can be pretty frustrating because nobody seems to understand when it's legal and when it's illegal to make a U-turn. So let's break down the law right now. Hi, I'm Derek Martin with Driver Defense Team, and our law firm represents a lot of people with traffic tickets here in the Chicago area. And one of the common tickets that we see is an illegal U-turn. And understandably so, people just don't comprehend when it's legal or illegal to make that turn. The reason for that is because there is first an Illinois law that applies throughout the state, but then each town or municipality has their own law that further restricts when it's legal or illegal to make that U-turn. So you got to keep both of them in mind. First, let's talk about the Illinois law. The Illinois law says that it is legal to make a U-turn unless one of the following are present. So it is illegal if you cannot do that safely. So it seems pretty obvious, but there are many accidents that occur as a result of or as part of a U-turn. So if you cannot make that U-turn safely, it's an illegal U-turn. Also, if you cannot make that U-turn without interrupting the flow of traffic, it's illegal. So you cannot interrupt traffic. So if someone else has to weave or turn or slam on their brakes, it's going to be an illegal U-turn. Finally, if a vehicle that's 500 feet away cannot see you, then you are not allowed to make that U-turn. So think of it as if you're going around a curve, a vehicle coming in the opposite direction has to be able to see you from 500 feet away. If they can't, you can't make a U-turn. Or also if you're going over a crest or a hill, a vehicle in the opposite direction may not be able to see you from 500 feet. So keep that in mind. Also, if there's a sign that says no U-turn, well, obviously it's illegal to make the U-turn at that point. Another thing to keep in mind in a very common situation is you're sitting in a light and you're intending to bust a U-turn and go back the other way. Well, you can't do that unless you get the green light or the green arrow. So you can't sit at that red light and bust that U-turn until it turns green. And the final thing to think about is that if you're going to do a U-turn and it's legal U-turn, you have to actually complete the U-turn. In other words, if you don't have the space and you have to back up and do a 3-point turn, well, that otherwise legal U-turn then becomes illegal because it's no longer a U-turn. So just things to keep in mind. But the biggest thing to keep in mind is the law in the actual town that you're in, because there's almost always one. Doesn't matter if it's Naperville or Schaumburg or Elmhurst or Orland Park or Oaklawn or the city of Chicago. All those towns are pretty much going to have their own law that further restrict when you can make that U-turn. Let's use Chicago as an example because it's obviously the biggest one and it's extremely restrictive. The law in Chicago is pretty restrictive when it comes to U-turns. What the law says is that you cannot make a U-turn within 100 feet of an intersection. So 100 feet in front of you, 100 feet behind you. If there's an intersection, it's illegal to make that U-turn. And it seems like in Chicago, there's always an intersection somewhere. So pretty restrictive. Now, if there's a sign that permits it at that intersection, then you are allowed, but otherwise you're not. Additionally, there's a whole area in Chicago where U-turns are not permitted. Even if you're not by the intersection, it's not permitted. And that area is Wacker Drive on the west and the north. It's Michigan Avenue on the east, and it is the Congress or Ida B. Wells, I guess is what they call it now. But to Chicagoans, it is the Congress Parkway on the south. So in that area, which is sort of the loop south of the river there, it is illegal to make a U-turn anywhere, even if you're more than 100 feet away from the intersection, unless, of course, there is a sign that says you can do the U-turn, then it's legal. So this is super common. We see tons of people, especially our taxi driver friends, Uber, Lyft driver, they get a call, they turn around, they go the other direction, and they get a ticket. We see this all the time. So now let's talk about what the penalties are for this ticket. Now, it is a traffic ticket. It is not a criminal offense, but it is a moving violation, which means it can affect your record. It can affect your record in terms of your insurance rates, but also it can count towards points and suspension of your driver's license. So that's obviously something you want to avoid. And oftentimes, if we're in court, we can avoid a conviction on your record. That's our number one goal, is to avoid this, and we are often very, very successful at doing so. So if you want to talk more about your specific situation and how we can help you with this ticket, just give us a call, send us a message. We're happy to give you a free case evaluation, talk about where you have court, talk about how we can help you out, and quote you a price right over the phone. So give us a ring, and we're happy to discuss this with you. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful and you know a little bit more about when it's illegal to make a U-turn in Illinois.